How's it going, Sagittarius community? Soul Tigress here with a special story for this wonderful frequency. So some key words here, Sagittarius, is new beginnings come at new understandings for the rhythm of life. Things come at the expense of gaining new knowledge about things, about yourself. You're getting ready to shed old habits of how you deal with people, places, and things. How you interpret also your right to protect yourself. The bruteness doesn't always win, and you're seeing that. It comes down to learning the lessons that we have came into conflict with on our journey to gain the knowledge, so that we can apply this new knowledge to the rest of our journey. We're evolving. We're adapting. We're learning how to spread our wings even more and being able to soar at higher heights to get bigger perspectives on things. That's what's happening here, or you're getting ready for this to happen. Much like the Scorpio, you're kind of getting ready to shed your skin and you're going to come out brand new, but without as much ignorance, I would say, because again, you're learning things along the way, and you're learning that the bruteness doesn't always solve everything. Sometimes it takes an intellectual mind to solve things. So let's get started. So right here at the greatest distance, we have the end of a tough cycle approaches. Full moon in Capricorn. I'm telling you, Sagittarius, you're going to be getting ready to make big moves, and I'm hearing to say for 2026. This doesn't just have to be career moves. This is really personal with yourself, how you see yourself, but also how you are interpreting the world around you and things that you are allowed to do. And one of them is to protect yourself. Something you're not seeing that you're at odds ends with is nothing will come of this situation. So whatever you're facing, whoever you're dealing with, whatever it is that's still conflict, that's still there, nothing's gonna come about it. Nothing's gonna change with it, I should say. And then we have a time for healing. This is something you don't see and that you're a little confused about. Sometimes when we get to certain ages in our life, we really denote what healing means sometimes. And for different generations, let's talk about it. We weren't talking about this kind of stuff 20, 30, 40 years ago. So to keep hearing these sayings, well, you need to heal that. You need to heal that. For some people, it's like, what do you mean? I was taught just to put your head down and just to keep trudging through the mud, just to keep going forward. So this is going to be taking you exploring some things that you haven't really explored before. I always say YouTube is a really great platform. You can find a lot of motivational speakers, people who speak about their experience and stuff like that. When you can find these different people who you align with, who's been through the same situations as you, it really doesn't feel so dark and lonely. Like you start to feel like more you're a part of something, and that, you know what, you can understand a little bit more what you're going through. And when I say you feel like you're a part of something, when you find motivational speakers or somebody who's speaking upon an experience that you've went through or very similar, it creates bonds, and it creates you opening up to more of community type of stuff instead of feeling like you're always wrong and how you feel is wrong type of thing, so you close yourself off. So something here very beautiful is you're very close to achieving your goal. I'm telling you, 2026 for Sagittarius is going to be different. But I can't say, hey, you're going to hit the lotto and stuff like that. It's going to be different in how you're interpreting things, but also how you handle things. What it is you're going to be leveling yourself up. And these lower frequency type of people, they're not going to be able to get to you as much because you already understand a lot. You went through, you healed, you've learned some lessons, you confronted some fears, and you worked through them. Remember I was talking to you about Scorpio here? Here we have the Scorpio card. Work through your fears. Being able to shed that old skin of what you once knew and being able to step out into understanding more about things. So that could even go with how you handle things with the good ego versus the bad ego. This is something actually I was talking to my Scorpio friend about today, and us analyzing some things and how we've noticed certain habits with certain people and how they handle confrontation. Now, when you handle confrontation through the bad side of the ego, the dark side of the ego, you feel like you are being threatened. You feel like you're being attacked. You feel like, what is it, that you have to be defensive and you will deny a lot of things. You know, there could be retaliation. But when you handle things on the light side of the ego, the good side of the ego, you seek to understand things that people are telling you. You adapt and you grow, you analyze to gain more self-improvement as well. And I feel like that's the shift that's happening for you, Sagittarius, is you're going to be shifting how you're handling things through the egos here. So let's keep going on your journey. I definitely feel like you're going to be taking a lot of big steps when it comes into your mental stability and also your stability around you and your environment. So kudos, 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 because that means that you've already been confronting different things within these past few months that had to deal with others. A lot of this energy the past few months really talked about us self-sacrificing ourselves for others, you know, just to kind of keep the same thing going, putting our head down. And now we are starting to learn the meaning of things to us, for us, and how we apply it. So good job on not giving up. Good job on not backing down, Sagittarius. All right, so let's keep going. We're going to take a dive into the present. We're leaving that intro. So, guides, ancestors, what is it that needs to come out for the present for the Sagittarius? You know, I keep wanting to say Scorpio. I don't know why, but another thing is that you've been learning is probably a lot through the Scorpion house, which is right before you. It's the 8th house. Transformation through relationships. So what that means is we've had to go through tough times with people around us, relationships that we've even had for years and years. And the things that we were denying ourselves, the things that we were overlooking, we had to confront that. And we wouldn't be able to grow until we started to confront that. So good job, good job. We have another Scorpio card here. Right away, the Death card in reverse, and that Death card falls on our High Priestess. There's still something here that you're really being hard on yourself. You still feel like you're lacking this knowledge. You feel like you're lacking this understanding. You could feel like maybe you're being a little impulsive. But the thing is this is kind of what has your optimism kind of tipped in seeing things more from like the bad side of the ego, where you want to take things out on yourself. And that could be something, again, that the guides are trying to tell you, let's back off of that. I need you to learn something here for yourself. But it's, again, working through the fears of things. So let's really start to unfold things. You're definitely been looking at things that have came and gone in your life that has to do with different kinds of relationships, whether close relationships, relationships with coworkers, relationships with family and or friends. And definitely you're feeling a big block here. You just feel like a lot of the relationships that have been around from your past until now were relationships that you had to really hold your energy back. You couldn't really be yourself. You're somebody who's really does a lot in the home. You do a lot for others, whether it's preparing medicines, taking care of others when they're sick, making sure others are fed, making sure to be that beacon of light for others when others are down, when they're depressed, when they don't want to get up, when they don't want to do anything. But I don't feel like you see how that is a really good solid foundation for you that you have. The thing is, you are a sign who has to do with a lot of philosophy. You're a sign that has to deal with a lot of healing, the healing arts as well, but also teaching others how to be at their best, their strongest, because the centaur that represents Sagittarius was a medicine man, but he also taught a lot of warriors as well. And sometimes what could be your undoing, Sagittarius, is when you get wounded, when somebody really hits you with something really hard. You don't see how to work through that. That becomes your block for some reason. That becomes your disempowerment. And this is something that happens a lot with people who you let in, like really close people. And for some reason, you've always had to dull your shine, dull how much energy you kind of put to things, because you don't want to, you don't want to upset. And this is something that you are working through. Okay, you're going to be working through this through your career. This is something that I'll show you the cards right here, how it lays out. So you have the Sun card here. Sun talks about where we're really good to put our energy. It's also following our guidance. But we have a block here. Even though we are working with things really well, we are really good at a lot of things we do, but on the other side of it, we have no stability. We feel like we aren't this badass mama jamma, basically. And what we feel like we do have is not much to offer others. Oh my goodness gracious. Don't worry about the material things around you. I'm hearing to say, don't worry about the clothes you put on your back. Don't worry about how much credit card limits you have and stuff like that, and what you drive, because all those things don't make you who you are. The way that you govern yourself, the way that you have a big heart with wanting to take care of others. You even have such a big heart that you will hold yourself back for others. Think about how much love that takes, how much compassion that takes for others to do that. Now, does that mean you're lacking in that for yourself? Just a wee bit, But this is something that you're here to learn now. What is it that you fear when it comes to being able to adore on yourself, when it comes to being able to really express your energy to its fullest? What is it here that you feel like you have to hold yourself back just to keep others happy? Ooh, because what that means is you're setting limits for yourself. You're putting yourself in a small box that wouldn't even fit you, in a small cage that wouldn't even fit you, because everybody else is getting in that type of cage. The whole thing is here, not everybody else sees things the way that you are. Not everybody else is really compassionate like that. Think about these people that you self-sacrificed for. Would they have done the same for you? A lot of times that answer is going to be no. That answer is going to be no. And if you think about it, you holding yourself back was to keep them happy. Now, a person who is of love, light, and compassion, somebody who's aligned with higher energies, wouldn't be happy watching somebody else hold themselves back just to appease them. So keep that in mind. It's okay to be talented. It's okay to have so much charisma. It's okay to have this bountiful knowledge within you that these others don't have, because you've been put in a place to show others. You got to think your sign is a natural teacher. It's a natural philosopher. It's a natural healer. That is a part of your journey here. So don't forget that, because if you imagine, could you imagine if the centaur, is it Chiron, who represents Sagittarius, if he held himself back from everything just to appease others, then he would have never trained Hercules and other great warriors as well. And we wouldn't have those really cool stories, I guess, that'd be about somebody else, you know, I don't know. So let's call in our angels of protection. Angels of protection, please help, guide, and protect us as we navigate the block here. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Okay. So there's something here since a younger age. I don't know if you came into the understanding of holding yourself back was something that, you know, is a whole lot easier to do than to try and fight others to show them who you really are. This is something, again, there's something in the relationships from when you were young that really impacted how you feel about stability when it comes to the mix of you working with others or you being with others. And there's something here that definitely toned down your charisma. It toned down your charisma for seeing things working out differently for others or differently for yourself. And this could go to like kind of like religious difference, different kind of politics, you know, different kind of spiritual beliefs and stuff like that. That's what I'm feeling here, because a lot of our beliefs will help our charisma. It will increase our charisma. But something here in your beliefs when it came to stability in relationships since a younger age has you feeling like you have to overspend on the things that are around you. And here we have the Sun card come out again in reverse for this block. You try to make these moves. Definitely try to make these moves. You've handled a lot, you know, you've tried to create that good sound judgment. You really haven't forged your way leaning on others. You definitely forged your way in a more independent kind of route. And you even got more stubborn with it when you were going and embarking on your life's journey. But there's something here again. We have this Five of Swords that comes out. And I could have sworn there was another five. No, it's the Five of Wands. So Five of Wands and Five of Swords kind of land on one another. Or the Five of Swords lands on the Five of Wands. Talking about conflict. Talking about being able to put down conflict. And when is the time to walk away. And I feel like it takes you quite a bit of time to walk away. You do hold a lot of patience, but at the same time, when you're done and you take off. And you take off and you're out for anybody's head who's going to be in your way. And that's a great trait, but at the same time, you burn so much time being patient with these others. And maybe it's because you have a hard time, you know, really trying to get to the heart of things about how you feel. I feel like with the Fool and the Ten of Wands and Judgment, I feel like you become really loyal. You put up with a lot of things. You practice patience. You practice a lot of patience because you're trying to give others, whether it's a person, place, and or thing, the benefit of the doubt. But in that whole time of trying to give the benefit of the doubt, it's like a security blanket. It's like, how do I put it? You ever heard of too much of one thing can be a bad thing? Too much patience can be a bad thing. It can leave you stuck in quicksand. And I feel like that's what happened, is you got too patient with things, and it definitely really held up how you were trying to bring in your own stability, being able to forge your way in maybe a certain career by a certain time. But it has to do with a certain kind of independentness, or a learned type of independentness. And if you know anything about Sagittarius, is they're very, very independent. Very independent, and usually they're the ones who move very, very far from their family. They're the ones who can go great distances on their own. And that is something to be very proud of yourself, even if you spent a lifetime, it seems like, in a place that wasn't good for you. That's okay, because right now you're in the midst of where you've gotten from that. Now it's time to look at the lessons here. What was the fears that held you back? Well, part of the fears that held you back had to do with your past. It had to do with your past, and it had to do with your view on relationships, how relationships works when it comes to people, places, things, kind of thing. Because look at, you have 2 lover cards also fall out. So you have 2 suns and you have 2 lover cards. Both your lover cards fall out the right side up, but both of your suns fall out in reverse position. Your lover cards are also Gemini. It talks about how we think, how we communicate as well. Hold on, I want to make sure that I have that right, because yes, the lovers are of Mercury energy. So this really comes down to, again, gaining that knowledge and putting that, how do I want to put this? Putting divinity in it to help heal it. So the power of prayer, honestly, when it comes to anything, you can research it, always do your own research, but the power of prayer can help you get through a lot of things. It can help you be able to put down old habits. It could help you forge new habits. It could help bring in things that you wouldn't have been able to do if you didn't put your focus in a different way. And that's doing it through divinity. If you put your focus in a different way of saying, oh, well, I'm just going to put my head down and fake it till I make it. What happens if you never make anything different? You never gained any kind of understanding. You stood miserable the whole time you were smiling. All right, so with this one, we're confronting the fear of, no, we're not going to fake it till we make it. And we're going to sit here and put light to this shadow side, put light to this block here on what's going on. And it's okay to be a patient person. It's okay to give the benefit of the doubt. But again, being able to create movement is also a wonderful thing. So here, the knowledge that you're going to gain is when to be patient versus when to create movement. When to listen, when to analyze versus when to start to protect yourself. When it's time to say enough is enough. And sometimes we have to go through situations that we try to avoid drama. And no matter how much we try to avoid it, it still gets brought to our doorstep, because sometimes we're the person who needs to learn from it, or we're the person who needs to teach others from it, type of thing. So it's okay to be patient. It totally is okay to be patient. One thing that I'm hearing to suggest, Sagittarius, and I actually do this with my new parents, is the type of relationships that you grew up around. Look at them. And Don't just say, hey, I would never be like this. I will never do that. Because sometimes when we run from it and we over focus on it, we end up repeating those same mistakes, but in a different way. Instead, maybe the perspective to take now is to step outside of ourselves. Step outside of ourselves, of the perception that we're used to viewing, and let's step higher up from a perception of divinity, a perception of love, a perception of compassion, a perception on shining the light in the darker places that we kind of run from. And doing that is not taking things out on yourself, but willing to learn from other people's mistakes. What is it that you would have changed in these past relationships that you had examples around you? How would you do things differently? What would you do differently? And start applying what you've learned from your past till now. And again, what you're doing on reanalyzing things of the past relationships around you growing up. And applying it to 2026, applying it to how you're going to go about, applying it to how you want to view relationships, applying it to how people will treat you or how they're allowed to treat you. It's a little bit of work, but like I said, 2026, you're going to shed a new skin. And by the end of it, if you do the work, you'll have a different view on relationships. Whether with people, places, and or things, because you're going to be more sound in yourself. You're going to feel that stability within yourself, but you're also going to feel like you know yourself better as well. And that's all really good pluses to have, because the more we get in touch with our soul being, which is that inner seed from the higher up, then the more we get connected to divine. The more we get connected to our angels, the more we get connected to our ancestors, the more we get connected to our spirit guides, the more we get connected to earth as well, and wanting to forge a better way for not just ourselves, but future generations to come. And we become the living example of it so that we can teach others. Ooh, let's keep going. All right, so now that we're jumping out of the block, let's call it in divine and universal energy. What are the positive messages that you have here for the Sagittarius community? We got some archangels here. I love it, I love it, I love it, because this one's been on my mind. So we got two archangels here. The first one, definitely Archangel Michael, likes to challenge the evil. This is a warrior right here. And the challenge is that security blanket that you hold on to, that you've created for yourself when it comes to being overly patient with others. You think this archangel is patient when evil tries to come up into his territory, try to mess with his charges? Or do you think that this angel handles business? And I'm hearing to say business on a dime, like business quick. There is no trying to give any leeway for any trickster type of energy, any malicious energy, any manipulating energy. This one's going to roll out. And Archangel Michael is root chakra energy. We've been talking about that stability. You have to challenge things. You're going to have to upset people. But these people, when they're not operating out of love, light, and compassion, and they're operating from a malice kind of thing with bad intentions, they got to get handled sometimes, because it's okay. You have the right to protect yourself. You have a right to protect that temple that you hold divinity in on all levels: emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, and the levels that we don't see to ourselves as well, such as the chakras. such as our aura of energy. All right, another archangel here, talking about how you can create the stability, starting to invest in the stability, as we have the third chakra archangel Camus. Ooh, let's talk about this one next. So this is solar plexus energy. Go figure. Solar plexus energy represented by the sun sign, which is Leo. Now with this one is confidence, is personal power, it's joy, it's self-discipline. And for this angel, he primarily uses his divinity powers to help people foster peace within themselves and others by helping them approach their problems with love and compassion. The thing is you have to approach yourself with divinity as well. We make mistakes, sometimes we're too patient, sometimes we hang on for too long. It's okay. It's okay to have that level of care, that level of compassion, that level of commitment. Because we're going to learn that those levels that we carry of compassion, love, and commitment, loyalty, we can use them. And we can use them towards things that are going to be of divinity, of higher energy, that are going to get us propelled to the places we want to be. But again, protecting ourselves comes at the expense of also knowing to love ourselves. Ooh, 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 this is beautiful. All right, 2 more cards. Door to personal healing and happiness. Something you're not seeing, something you're at odds ends with, and something that was on the bottom of the deck after I got done cleansing. Sometimes, like I said, that bruteness, you wanted to go after them heads when finally enough has been enough. You have to be careful because sometimes that is our undoing. Think about it. When you had situations where you were really frantic, frustrated, just angry because nobody was understanding you, felt like nobody was listening to you, and you became a big brute. You started to show those emotions. You started to show that frequency. You started to show that anger. What happened? It seemed like more doors started to close to you because people stopped listening to you and people stopped taking you seriously. So being able to balance out, being diplomatic about things and handling things, but with not such a bruteness, is going to be the thing that helps you open up the door to personal healing and happiness. Sometimes when we go on with this bruteness, we close off our heart chakra. And at that time, we're operating out of bitterness. We're operating with a sense of wanting to get revenge, because we're holding on to a grudge because this person we've been patient for so long doesn't get it. We don't want to do that. Here, they want you to handle it in due timing, handle it with a diplomatic view, handle it with the authority that you have, but not with the bruteness. Not with the bruteness, with the healing sense, with the happy sense, with you being able to open the different doors of yourself and see yourself differently. Ooh, I really like that. That's a really good investment. That's where you're going to start to see what you've been building around you as well, but also how you've been healing and building yourself up to be able to make these big moves, literally these big moves, because like I said, Sagittarius energy, they usually don't stay in the same spot that they are originally from. A lot of times they have really big distances that they go in life. All right, so last card. Oh my goodness gracious, I like this one too. I like this one, and this is going to talk about that Page of Pentacles, how you seen how things once were in your past, and how you took certain views from that, what you've learned from that type of thing, and being able to go from that knowledge and ascend into a higher knowledge, more of a divinity type of knowledge. And we have the 6th chakra archangel Metatron. This one holds the book of life here. This one we have to go talk to about some of the choices that we made when we're reviewing our playbook there. But the great thing, and I love how this is applicable to this story, is because Metatron was one of very, very few humans who were able to ascend into the angelic realm and sit in the heavens with divine. This one is a very, very powerful archangel that, shows that we can transform ourselves. We can transmute our energy from a place where it could be very messy, a place where there's a lot of temptation, a place where old habits of taking things out on ourselves flourish. And we can learn, we can grow, we can be more, and we can ascend into divinity for ourselves, divinity for our journey. And when I say divinity, that's love, light, and compassion. Meeting ourselves on a deeper level of understanding type of thing. And that's what's going to happen here. You're going to be able to ascend from your old beliefs into higher beliefs when it comes to the people around you, the places around you, by being able to open new doors for yourself. Seeing that you can handle business, but you don't have to handle business with trying to block things out, deny things, and take it out on yourself, whatever these others are doing, because you only have that one way of believing because of how you grown up or what you were exposed to when you were younger. No, encompassing our archangel type of energy where we're healing ourselves through love, healing ourselves through compassion, but at the same time we know we can confront malice type of things, and we don't have to wait till they push our patience to the edge because we feel like we have to carry so much because of previous judgment we've had about things. But no, we're able to use our energy within through our beliefs to keep building ourselves up to that independentness, to be able to put down the different conflicts around us instead of, again, having to give too many people the benefit of the doubt for so long. Yes, this is a journey where we have to confront the fears of relationships around us with different people, different places, versus the journey that we decided to take. Sometimes on our journey, I think I remember mentioning in the last story, sometimes we feel like we choose wrong. And then we take out on ourselves how we chose wrong. But that's not the key here. You chose what you chose for a reason because there's lessons here. And one of the lessons that could only come about by this situation, whether with person, place, and or thing, was the only lesson that was going to help bring acknowledgement of you needing to heal certain things, to put certain things to an end. And that comes at understanding that not all the lessons in our past were good lessons. Not all the lessons in our past really work for the times of the now. And that's okay, because guess what? You're one hell of a person who has been handling a lot of different things in many different ways when it comes to you embarking on the journey that you've been on with yourself. Just know, Saggy, you are very close. You are very close to achieving your goal. Again, we just have to flip our optimism, how we see things, how we view things, especially when it comes to others. And realizing that what we once knew that isn't helping us now, is nothing's going to come out of that. Nothing's going to come out of being overly patient and trying to look past what others are doing. No, it comes at us being able to build stability for ourselves. Understanding that, there's times that we need to protect ourselves. Understanding that we don't always have to practice patience when people are acting ill towards us. All right? So, thank you, Sagittarius, for sharing this story with me. And don't forget to thank your angels, ancestors, and spirit guides. And as always, I hope you have a most wonderful rest of your day.